Okay, I'm gonna try that again. I was having a weird problem. So once again, if you're tuning into this stream after it's published, after it's been recorded live, I'm pretty much just doing this as a way to show some content of the factory again on YouTube after the conclusion of my commentary series. So I'm pretty much just going to be working on the factory, and if anyone joins, cool. If you watch it after and find some entertainment out of this, also cool. But yeah, I'm just pretty much going to be doing some work here, particularly on the Chocolate River. I've started to do an expansion of that, especially down this way. Yes. I think I'm gonna extend this tunnel back further, and instead of having this flat wall, I'm gonna just angle it off some. Yes. Hell yeah is right. It's always a good day when we're doing some Wonka factory building. Okay. So, I don't know if I ever really even said it in my videos, but I use World Edit for a lot of this big scale stuff. And I need to move this entire sphere. So, let's see. I want to move the whole tunnel. Let's see. Let's see how this looks. Perhaps I do not want to do this and just keep this flat instead. Now let me see how this will look. Alright, so I don't want that. Pretty much don't want anything anyone to be able to go over into this. This is just a fake part of the ride, or the tunnel ride, to give off the illusion that it's larger than it actually is. But what I'm trying to do is to get rid of this flat wall. I'd like it to tunnel in to this, well, tunnel more gracefully than just the hard cutoff. And obviously none of this was ever in the movie, so this is just freelanced based off of pretty much what I think would look good in the spirit, I guess, of the movie itself. So let me try doing this instead. So let's do 4. No, let's do 3. There's a very real chance I'm going to hate how this looks and just go back to how it was. That tends to be how I do things. But I am trying to make steady progress on this because I don't want it to take forever before the world download goes up. Considering I posted my first video on this probably 3 or 4 months ago at this point. And it was not my intention to be taking this long, but the more work I do on it, the more I just want to add. I'd rather it be complete and to its fullest potential, I guess, before it gets released. Actually, let me check something real quick here. Okay. Okay, this one's 2. Yeah, I had that thought as well. However, the reason I think I'm not going to do a circular connection is actually because up here on this other side of the corridor that I worked on already and I actually completed, I used spheres for basically the entire thing, like this, and I basically just wanted some semblance of variety, even if it probably, you're right, would be more accurate to have it more circular. But because of that reason and the fact that admittedly this would just be a little bit simpler to build, and I'm trying to move a little bit quicker on this just because this is such a huge project, and my plan is to add in probably like 4 to 6 rooms in here, so I want to try to get working on that soon. And I actually have in a different part of the ride, I keep calling it a ride, in a different part of the tunnel, I actually have that flat wall problem that I'm trying to solve right here. And I think I have it up here. I just went the lazy route and have this flat wall. which is why, and I don't plan to change that, which is why I'm not too upset with having it just be an angle, because it looks better than that, at least, is my thinking. But yeah, I'm actually happy enough with how that looks, to be honest. And then obviously I'll do the same thing over on this side. Okay, so I need to... Yes, variety is indeed good. And it's especially on this build because the aesthetic of the movie is so industrial and relatively boring looking that I find myself, the more that I add on that isn't shown in the movie, it's actually very repetitive in the overall aesthetic. So like a lot of the rooms you can pretty much see, like here's one of them. I don't even remember which room this is, but I try to use spheres for everything just like the movie, and I find myself getting bored of it, the look, but I have to keep telling myself that it's accurate to the movie even though it looks boring. But overall, going through the whole thing at once is still rather impressive, so that's why I'm able to convince myself to keep doing it, because I would love to change up some of the stuff, you know, maybe put in a little bit of flair from like the 70s movie, or to just use some other Wonka-esque inspiration, like of different mediums that aren't just the two movies. But trying to keep it as accurate as I can means it's all gonna look rather samey. I don't really know how much I plan to necessarily do today either. Probably mainly just gonna focus on this and then cleaning up the tunnel. Perhaps build some of the doors that lead to the rooms, but I don't really have a plan for those rooms yet. I like to think on it for a while, and so it all makes sense and it fits in well. Because there are so many rooms on the list to choose from. A lot of them are actually so nonsensical that it would be almost impossible to recreate in this game, at least not in any way that I can think of, at least. So even though there's 490 to pick from, there's probably really only 100-ish rooms that are feasible to make. And I'm trying to space them out in a way that it makes sense as much as possible. For example, up here in this other section that I just finished a few days ago, maybe a week ago, I try to space out the rooms that make no sense at all with rooms that actually would make sense for a chocolate factory. So one of them is the boy band room. Obviously, there's no real reason that this would be here except because it's one of Wonka's factories. So of course it would be in here. So I have that. And then I tried to counterbalance that with a room that is somewhat candy related. So the orange is not only fruit room, has actual food items in it. And then that is counterbalanced with the juicing room, and that is here because the inventing room is over that way. And then I think this one is another nonsensical room to kind of break it up a little bit. Square candies that look round is directly from the book, and again it's an actual food item, so that helps. And then Chili Willies and the storage tanks are, once again, actual legitimate sounding rooms of candy production. So I need to plan out the rooms ahead of time for this new area that I'm working on. I believe I asked like a week ago on my Planet Minecraft post for some suggestions of rooms to build, and someone actually did give some really good suggestions. So I think I'm going to put one or two of those in this dome over here, but I need to counterbalance that with some more candy focused rooms. I just don't know what those are going to be yet. And this part of the tunnel ride actually is, this is just a copy and paste of the very beginning of the tunnel ride, or not the very beginning, right after the first dome they go through where they have the whipped cream room and the coffee cream room and all that in the movie. And then it opens up into this vast cavernous part of the pipe system. I basically just copied it, shrunk it down some, and rotated it and pasted it over here. And it looks different enough. I changed a good number of things from that before I pasted it over here, that it looks like a completely separate part of the ride and not just a copy and paste. There is surprisingly a little amount of duplicate rooms or designs in this build. In fact, I think this is probably the only thing that I have duplicated and pasted just for the sake of saving time, because it's really not necessary to rebuild the whole thing from scratch if I have something I can just copy and change a little bit. At least that's how I look at it. I think I talked about it in my one of my commentary videos where I was talking about the candy boat ride, that my tunnel ride is not, in my opinion, the best recreation of it out there. I think there are a few factories that I have seen and admittedly studied that I think give off a better effect. Mine is just the largest of all of them, so I guess I'm relying on that to make up for some of the deviations in its accuracies. Also, I think my ultimate end goal for this factory is to, whenever the aesthetics are completely done, I would like to implement the create mod into a rather substantial portion of it. I'm not going to replace the brown water with the chocolate from that mod though, because that would just take forever. But I do want to actually have the factory producing chocolate and candy. The only problem with that is the aesthetic styles are so different, where this is more a modernist industrial and the create mod is so steampunk vibey that I'm going to have to try to find a way to hide almost all of the machinery from the create mod so it doesn't clash with this style. But I would absolutely love to have it actually producing candy and having it shipped off. I think that would be really cool. But that is not something that I'm going to try to do before the world download goes out. That would just be simply too much. So that probably would be something that I'm going to do just for my own enjoyment. And then when people download the map, if they want to add it in themselves, they're more than welcome to. It has been nice to see this map get way more interest than I was expecting to. Especially on playing on Minecraft and on my very first video. Getting over 10,000 views is pretty cool to see. And just the amount of people that comment on my posts and take an interest in asking when the map will be available. So it's always rewarding, I guess. I wish I could give those people a closer estimate on when the world download will go up, but it's probably going to be quite a few months away still. Can't see anything. Alright. So yeah, I think I'm gonna just put in the false chocolate floor and then just break this wall down. And I'm actually pretty happy with how this looks. I like it more than I thought I would, so. Alright. Just do some world edit. Alright. How did I do the lighting in here? I think I just put this in the ground. Alright, how to make sure oh, that's annoyingly loud. Turn this down some. Oh, I didn't put any lighting in here. Alright. Okay, how long is this? 1, 2, 3, 32. Call it 33. Do 15, 15. I messed that up. Hold on. 16, 1, 2, 13. Alright. It's an uneven number, or it's an even number, so the spacing won't be exact, but this looks good enough. I started using the light block commands a lot around the factory, replacing some of the visible lights in areas that I don't want them to be seen. But since this is covered with water, I have no problem just putting some visible lights in the floor. Let's do here, then there. And I do like having a lot of shadows in the tunnels here. I know in the movie it's actually rather luminous, but it still feels dark. So the way that I'm, I guess, interpreting that is having a lot of shadows. I don't know. I think it looks pretty cool though. And this is definitely a good build. It's easy on lighting. You don't have to worry too much about the lights because the whole thing is just rather dark anyway. So if you have dark spots, you can just say it was intentional. Is this centered? Yeah. Now I do think I'm thinking about maybe putting in some overhead lights like this, but then I remembered that in other parts of the tunnel where you actually do see in the movie, there is no visible overhead lighting in the literal tube parts. So I think I'm gonna actually not do that. But I may put in some light blocks, or light block command blocks up there, because I think it's a little bit too dark. But I'm gonna open this wall up first, I think. Alright, temporarily I do not want the water to flow in here. And this is, okay, I'm gonna have to fix that. Actually, I might just remove this. But I think this looks a lot better than just having it dead end, like hard stop right into this little opening. It'd be really cool if someone made I've always wanted someone to make like a Willy Wonka mod for this game. I guess the Create mod accomplishes a lot of that, but more so in the aesthetic of either of the Wonka movies. I think that would be really cool to have like an actual functioning Viking boat or Wonkatania boat from the 70s movie. That would always be pretty cool, because it's always it looks a little crappy to have to go through this whole system here with just a little regular Minecraft boat. It looks a little funny, but gets the job done, I guess. Alright. I think I'm okay with how all of these block colors meet each other. Even though it's a hard edge, I don't think I want to blend in any blocks. I think that would look too distracting. So I think I'm just gonna go with it. Although I think I might replace these blocks with dark blue. I think that would help. Yeah, I think that's better. Did I have... I already forget how that looks. Okay, it meets up. You know, I'm thinking I might get rid of this light and put another one of these right here, so it looks more symmetrical. I know that's not the pattern for the rest of this though. I have them kind of zigzag with the lights, but I think it would look better if there was not a light here. Yeah, I'm just gonna cover this up. Oh, this is perfect. Alright, I will do a magenta one, I guess, yeah. Alright, let me make sure I line it up. It's not lined up. Okay. Alright, now that I have this, just 3. Is that how it looks over here? Yeah. A little bit of a tight gap, but it's alright. And then I think I used to put lights underneath these. Guess I decided to stop doing that. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. I might replace this one with a full-on support. Yeah, that's a good question. That's something that I've thought about before. I guess the only really way I can think of is some sort of lift system. Yeah. Because it does flow so far down, and there's no indication that there's any path that goes upwards. Yeah, I don't know. It would be something that I think I'm probably not going to recreate in here, although I have somewhat thought about it, because I've thought about before, you know, once you get to the end of these additional rooms that I'm building, so like, you know, the factory, mine is at least built in a way that the way you get to the end is you have to follow the movie tour. So once you go through here, you have to go into the inventing room to basically continue on. Well, it used to be you had to go through here to continue on to the nut room. This was the only way to get to this hallway right here. But I added this door in that connects to this additional river path I built over here, because I wanted to get rid of the fact that you had to go through the inventing room to get to this point. And then the only way to get to the nut room is to go to the top of this staircase. And then from the nut room, obviously the TV room, and then the up and out sequence basically teleports you back to the beginning of the factory. So that's right now the only way I have to get out of the chocolate river. So once you start, there's no way to get back up to the top. And I think that probably is a flaw. I've thought of ways to counter that, not using the boat necessarily, but by having another sort of like spiral tower staircase that takes you up to the chocolate room, if that makes sense. So right now we're at like -41 and the chocolate room is built like 100 blocks above this. I was thinking I could maybe just build another spiral staircase and then have a connecting hallway that connects from there to the chocolate room, so that you're not forced to go through the movie tour to get back to the beginning. So that's what I've thought of. And then also, I have implemented the elevator system. Let me just go to one of these rooms. The teleportation elevator system is another way to counteract that. Let's see, we'll go into this one. So I have the elevator over here. And this is completely just what I made up myself. This isn't really based on the movie. There are no buttons in here right now, but every elevator will have 6 different buttons that takes you to different rooms. So I guess what you could also do is just keep teleporting through the rooms until you find a button that takes you back to the chocolate room. And that necessarily restarts it over again. So if you're down at the bottom of the chocolate river and you don't want to go all the way to the TV room to go to the up and out spot, you could just use the elevator. But I do think I still want to add in that tower with another hallway. Because I don't like the fact that the teleportation elevators are the only way to get somewhere. I try to avoid that. And in fact, everywhere except Fudge Mountain, there is always an alternate way to get to where you want to go that isn't the teleportation stuff. So you can either walk there or you can take the chocolate river there. But yeah, I think it definitely would be some type of lift, sort of like a roller coaster or a log flume, I guess, to get the boat back up. What was I doing? Oh yes, I think I'm going to connect. I don't remember why I have this weird gap here. I think this is this was taken, like I said, from an earlier part of the ride, and for some reason or another I had to not have a support pillar right here. So this is all kind of messed up, but I'm just banking on the fact that nobody would stare at it too hard to realize that this pattern is broken. So we're just going to roll with it because I don't feel like fixing it. But I like these supports. I noticed in the movie it's because the boat needs clearance to go underneath it. So in the movie you see some of these where the boat path is, and it's like he just cut them off instead of removing them entirely. So in spots in the tunnel, wherever I have it converging into a central point where, because it's so wide over here, you can just, go around them. But where there's a spot where you're supposed to, you have to go right here. That's why I cut these off short, so you can just go underneath them and not run into them. But yeah, like I was saying a while ago, I think other people definitely do this better, and my favorite one is the channel's called Wikimart, and his factory recreation is pretty old at this point. It's probably, I don't know, 6 years old, 7 years old, something like that. But his tunnel ride just looks so good. It has such a good look to it. Okay, I think I can put the water in. think, yeah, all the lighting underneath the chocolate is good enough. Did I have this? I don't think this is necessary. Yeah. Alright. Now we'll just fill this up, put some lighting in the roof, and then that part will be done. Something else I wish I did. Originally, when I started building this factory, I did not know about this mod, so like a lot of people, I just used brown concrete, or some people use brown wool or whatever. And I was using that just for my entire chocolate river, including the waterfall. So I only made it like 1 block deep, and then once I started using this mod, started putting actual water over top of this, it's only 1 block deep, and I wish I made it like 5 or 6 blocks deep instead. Because in the movie where Augustus Gloop falls into the chocolate river, his whole body gets submerged, which implies that the river is at least a few feet deep, probably like 5 feet deep, something like that. So I wish mine was like that. It would just be too much work to go back and modify that. So mine is just 1 block deep. But it gives off the illusion at least because you can't see through the water. Alright. I think do I want to add a light block to the ceiling? I kind of like how it looks really, really dark. My monitor brightness is turned a little bit darker than it normally is right now, so it looks even darker for me than it probably does normally. And since I have it so dark over here, I guess it would make sense to continue it being dark. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna do that. Okay. Alright, actually, one other thing I wanted to do is I tried to, throughout the walls for all of the portions of the ride that are much wider and aren't just a tube like that, I tried to do a little bit of a curvature on the walls here so they're not just flat. And I wonder if I should do that here as well. No, this should be here. I want to see how this looks. Yeah, I think that looks alright. Let's not do that. Yeah, I think I like how this looks better with that. Okay. Let's close this. Do that over here. Oh right, I have the window here, so that's gonna look a little weird. I think it'll still look okay. Yeah, I think that helps. Yeah. I think that looks a lot better. And then what height am I at? Alright, negative 56. Let's see. So like I was saying earlier, I think my plan is to put in one room on each of these doors. Put some lights, or not doors, each of these openings, I guess you could say. Although I am thinking, because I do like like I've mentioned a few times in my videos, but more so in playing on Minecraft, I like having a feeling of scale with my version of this factory, which is why I've kept adding on so much stuff. And originally, whenever this spot over here and this spot was over here was just a dead end, like how this one is, my goal was to set out to double the size of the Chocolate River system. And I was going to do that by obviously building this corridor and then by that corridor. But that still falls short of doubling it. It's probably more like that added with this is probably more like just under half, or maybe around half the size of the previous Chocolate Tunnel River. Because what I really wish I could have done is open up these windows and have this spot over here and over there continue off into more paths, because we're actually a lot higher up in the world limit than where we just were. And because I can only go down to negative 63, I don't really have room to expand the Chocolate River off anymore that low. But unfortunately, the other various rooms of the factory that I've built completely surround the other side of that black wall on both of these sides. So I can't expand it off anymore. So then also I was thinking of other areas that I could like make another path shoot off. And the most logical spot would be this huge opening over here where I just basically expanded it off really far, just to give it the sense of distance. And I designed it in a way that you're not really supposed to go over here, although you could if you wanted. But there's just nothing to see over here. And I was thinking of ways that I could maybe just extend off another path of the river, like at the bottom over there. I can't really do this wall back here because then you would kind of be awkwardly rowing sideways across the intended flow. Like you're supposed to be going down. It would be weird if you're just going sideways the whole time. So that's kind of not a possibility. And also the fact that in the movie, I tried to... This shot right here is recreated as close as I could to the movie, where there's this dividing wall, and then there's like some windows and there's some rooms, but they're half closed off, and I think it would just be too weird to have actual stuff you're supposed to see over there. So that is ruled out. And then over here in the first dome, I have every corner basically filled up with a room. I guess what I could do is get rid of one of these rooms and move it to another spot of the factory and have the river go off that way. And that would make sense because you don't see this side of the dome in the movie. You never get a camera angle of it. You only see this part. So these have to stay how they are. And then actually, I haven't actually checked. Let me just go up to see if I have anything in the way. So if I were to get rid of, say, the This is the fizzy lifting drinks room, and this is actually based off of the 70s movie. It's the only room in the factory that is from the 70s movie. And then over here I actually have the candy canes room. And I guess I could get rid of one of these rooms and move it somewhere else. And then maybe have a different branch of the river go off this way. It's probably looking like the best option so far. Because I do want to make this river bigger. I'm not 100% satisfied with the size of it yet. I think that's probably what I'm going to end up doing, is keeping the fizzy, well, I have to think about it logically from the movie standpoint. So the boat comes with a good amount of speed down through here, and then it slows down, and they're able to just slowly row to one of these rooms. Would it make sense to do almost a 180-degree turn? Or, oh, I'm sorry, almost a 360-degree turn. No, scratch that. Yes, 180. Almost a 180-degree turn to an opening in here to go off basically into the same way they were just coming from. Or would it make sense? It would be a little bit less awkward if I got rid of this room, and instead of a 180, you're only doing a 90-degree turn. But then it looks a little bit silly having two openings to the river right next to each other. And I think it's a little bit too close for my liking, so what I would really like to do is have it right here where the whipped cream room is. I think actually I built this room in the incorrect spot. Well, in fact, I know I did. The whipped cream room, I think, is supposed to be over on this wall, if I'm remembering from the movie correctly. I had to go back and watch. But if I could find a reasonable way, like if I could swap the candy cane room with the whipped cream room, or, yeah, like just put this over here, move the candy cane room somewhere else, and then this is open to have another branch of the river. I think that would be good. Let me go up and look again. Oh. Well, that's not gonna work. Right. Because I have the chocolate river extending up this way to create an illusion of depth. And then over here is one of, I think, the clouded cream room. I think is this room right here. I don't remember. I guess what I could do if I really wanted to is just get rid of like these last three levels, or at least cut out a little chunk of it so that the river can flow off that way at an angle. And then that should, because I'm absolutely not getting rid of this room right here, and that should be enough space to work through. I could build a little tube and then it could go down that way. I think that would actually be pretty cool, but I need to go back and look at the movie to make sure that if the whipped cream room is indeed I built it in the wrong spot, then I think I'm gonna do that and just move it. But if it is in the correct spot, then I'm probably just gonna move the candy canes somewhere else and have the river go off that way. But I really also, I'm just thinking out loud here, so apologies. But the reason I built the river going up that way, even though you have no way of ever getting up here unless you were in creative mode and you flew, is because I wanted it to go up a certain amount of ways, so whenever you're coming out of here in the boat, if you happen to look that way, it's not just an abrupt stop where there's like a wall right here. So I wanted it to go back kind of far, and I'm worried that I think I said I have to take the last three of these levels out, which would be right here. That would be, let me just do it with a break block. That would essentially mean that I'm cutting it off where that little pillar is. not sure if entirely how that would look. That's like right on the border of being too close to this opening. I don't know, I'll have to think about it some. But definitely I think what's going to happen is it's either going to go there or there. I just have to figure out which. And then, yeah, there's basically no way for me to have anything up here because you see this entire part in the movie and all this is a white tube with no openings going out of it. So yeah, I think it's gonna have to go up there. Yes. Another possibility, I suppose, is moving one of these rooms somewhere else and having it sort of like an intersection where you either go off that way or you turn right. Although that might be a little confusing for people once the world download goes out. They might not know which way is the quote-unquote correct way to go if they're just trying to go to the spots in the movie. Because if they go that way, then they're going to dead end to somewhere that isn't the inventing room, which would be a problem. So yeah, I think it's definitely going to have to go to one of those two spots up there. I'm going to check something real quick. I do have a small list of the rooms that were recommended to me on my Planet Minecraft post, so I want to pull that up real quick. Okay. Where am I? Yes. Some of these areas of the factory I've built almost, well, over half a year ago. I've been working on this since September of 2023. So I'm not in some of these areas all that much anymore, so I actually find myself getting lost in my own build sometimes, which actually is kind of cool. I like that fact, to be honest. It makes it feel like I'm accomplishing the goal of having the factory feeling very large. Okay, so I'm gonna go down this way. Yeah, I think this looks pretty cool, how this all turned out. I would have added this wall with the glass over on this side as well, but I'm actually right up against some other areas of the factory, so I would not have the room to do that. Okay, so now that it's been decided that there's really no way for me to continue the river on from this point because we're so close to bedrock, at least not right now. I might eventually add like a little room over on one of the angles, but I think I want to have each one of these flat walls just be a room. So the ones that were recommended to me that I really liked a lot were the map room, the candy shavers, and the very, very small room. That one would be very easy to make, and I probably will not put it in this spot, just because, well, actually, let me go out here and look. How much room do I have out here? Alright, I basically have infinite amount of room in the X and Y axis on all three of these, except for this side and this side. I am limited on the Z axis, so I can only go up so high. Since I have so much room, I'm probably going to put in rooms that will take up a larger amount of space, and then the very, very small room will get put into a spot where I don't have a lot of room to build in. I thought there was another room, though, that I liked. It was also recommended to do the Fudge Fallout Shelter and the Gravy Trains room as well. I think the Fudge Fallout Shelter, I'm not sure. So because this is essentially the end of the line for the Chocolate River, because I don't think I'm going to continue, like I said, on a path that's further out from here, especially not one that goes down any further, because I need enough room underneath to build the elevators stops, basically. Since this is the end of the Chocolate River, at least that I'm going to be modeling, I feel like the rooms here should be rather grandiose. And I'm not sure if any of those rooms I just mentioned really fit that description. Because the Candy Shavers room, well, my idea is that I'm going to make that the barber shop, I think, that you see at the end of the movie for only like a minute of him getting his haircut. Although I'm going to have to cross-reference the list, because there might be a room that is just titled Barbershop, and if that's the case, I will be scrapping that idea. Or I should say, instead of the room being called Candy Shavers, it'll just be called Barbershop. I don't think that would really fit this area, and neither would the very, very small room like I talked about. The map room might work, and the Fudge Fallout Shelter could also work, although I kind of fail to see how I would make either of those rooms very large. So I might have to go back and look at the list again. Because over here, on the other corridor that I just finished, one of the rooms I put in there is the storage tanks room. And that is probably, other than the chocolate room, the largest room in the factory. Just because I had a huge amount of space to work with, and I really wanted to use that opportunity, because a lot of these areas I'm restricted by space. So this is the storage tanks room, and basically the size of this room is what I would like some of those rooms that we were just at to be in terms of scale. So it's literally just a massive room with a ton of storage tanks. I think I have 6, I have 4 rows, I have 48 storage tanks in here, all they're grouped in pairs of 6. So there are 8 different things being stored in here, and it's multi-level, and there's not necessarily a lot to do in this room, but it's mainly just an aesthetic room where it's just supposed to look really large. So I have like the pipes going up like 100 some blocks, and it's very large. Like this room is, I think, like over 200 blocks wide in this direction. So I would like something not necessarily in height, but something in length and width in a similar style of size, I should say. Probably not a rectangle though. That room is one of the only rooms in the factory that's not a sphere. And I want these rooms down here to be spheres that we're going to be building. So I want like a sphere that's probably like 100 blocks wide, at least, in at least the one side that I'm not restricted on the z-axis, which I think is this side over here. So I don't think any of those rooms, the Fudge Fallout Shelter, the map room, the very small room, or the barber shop, are good enough candidates for that. But what I can do is, what I always start out doing is, before I even know what the rooms are going to be, is I build the doors. And my door design is uniform across every room. They all look the same. And basically the way I don't do this the most efficient way, but it's just the easiest way for me to do it, because I've built so many of these at this point, is whenever I'm doing them in one of these big spheres, is I fill in the furthest point of the wall here, and then I carve it out, and then I build it, because I like them to be recessed. I don't like the room to be flush with the wall. It gives it just a little bit more depth, and that's one of the things I do, because the colors is, you know, they're so bland in the movie. Like, there are a bunch of whites and grays and like a single shade of blue or purple, because they're so bland, and the fact that there's not really a lot of detail in the movie, it's just really smooth surfaces. I have to do like whatever I can to try to make this stuff not look just flat in Minecraft, because it comes across well in the movie, but in Minecraft it doesn't translate too well if everything is just flat, and a lot of areas it's just not possible to detail something. I think I talked about it in my very first commentary video, where the way that people build in Minecraft these days is to super detail everything and add in a lot of texture. I wish I could do that with this build, but it just wouldn't be right. It just wouldn't be genuine to the movie, because that's just not how it looks. So I had to go against the grain of the normal build style. So this is basically the only tool in my arsenal, is to put in a block or two of depth and to use staircases to the best of my ability. Okay, so one thing I always like to do is I like to strategically pick the color of the glass that I put into these doors. And I also do that with the lights, although it's a lot harder to tell with the overhead lights because they're so bright. And I wanted to use blue glass because this room is blue. But why is this, this one is brighter than the others. Did I mess that up? No. I don't know why it's brighter right there. Oh, probably because of that block. Anyway, got distracted. I like the color of the glass to make sense. So because this room is blue, I probably should use the light blue glass, but I also want it to look not super boring, and having everything in this room be blue would be super boring. So I might put in the magenta. I don't use purple or pink. I just decided I was going to use magenta for some reason. There are other areas of the factory that I used, I think in the first dome, where I have all the cream rooms and then the fizzy lifting drink and the candy canes. I actually used different color glass that weren't just blue and magenta. And every other area of the Chocolate River, I didn't do that. So I think for now what I'm going to do is I'm only going to use magenta for these 3 doors. And then sometime in the future, I might go back through my entire Chocolate River system and think about the color of the glass again and change it up so it's not just all blue and magenta, and use some greens, orange, and yellow in there as well. But that is for another day. Okay, so we're not going to use that. A while ago, I decided to start using frog lights instead of sea lanterns for all of the lights that are actually going to be visible, like that. Areas where it's hidden by like the water, I just use sea lanterns anyway. No real reason. But I had to go back and replace all the sea lanterns I had because originally they were all sea lanterns. I think the frog lights just look better as opposed to that. There's just too much blue or green, whatever that is. This looks more white. Alright, so for now, just put the door in, and it'll just be a blank door with no name until I decide what room that's going to be. And like I said, the other ones that were suggested to me on Planet Minecraft will just be put somewhere else, because they're good suggestions. I just kind of cornered myself into feeling like I have to build large rooms in this area. Alright. See, what time is it? It's about 12 o'clock over here where I'm at least. So probably after I do these doors, I'm not going to do too much else today. And since this is the first time I've ever live streamed, I think it was successful enough for a short hour, 15-minute-ish stream. I obviously am not a regular content creator. I just do it for fun when I feel like it. So not sure when I would do another live stream, or when I'll be originally my plan today was to just make a video, because I really do enjoy doing that and sharing this with other people if they feel like watching it. But I figured I didn't really like, it's hard to, I'm not sure how I would really do a build series on this because so much of it is already built. You know, if I were doing this from scratch, like starting over at the very beginning, then yeah, absolutely, I would just do a series where I basically built the thing in video format at least. But because I'm so far along, I feel like it would be hard to make a video where I'm just building rooms, because that's basically all I have left to do is just to keep building the rooms. Not a whole lot of variety. And the rooms do take me a while. I don't usually play this for, like, I'll at most play Minecraft on this world for like maybe 2 hours at a time, a few times a week. And each one of the rooms usually takes me a solid like 2 sittings of me playing this game to fully complete it. So it would take a very long time, just logistics wise, to record all of that, and then also having to edit it down, which I don't really enjoy editing that much, so that wouldn't be very fun either, at least for me. So I figured I would just throw on a live stream, and if people were interested, they could watch it live, and if they really want to, they can go back and watch it after the fact. Okay. Alright, so have those three. I think that is going to be fine. I was contemplating adding in 2 more rooms, one right here and one right here. But the doors always look really weird when they're built on an angle, and I think it would be too tight space-wise. Like if there were to be a room right here in the middle of these 2 rooms, that really limits, really limits how large I could make these 2 rooms. So I think we're just gonna roll with the 3 that I have planned. Alright, these are those light commands I was talking about, but I don't think I need them anywhere. I really like using just, like, I guess the way I refer to it is the environmental lighting. So even though I obviously put in these lights and these doors, I consider that just part of the environment, like a necessary part of this structure. So I like relying on that and as much as I can to illuminate an area, and not put in, like, I guess inorganic lights, if you want to think about it. Like I could just put in like if I didn't want this to be so dark, I could put in like one of these to light it up a little bit. But I guess it's personal preference. I like not doing that. I just like relying on the environmental lighting to light up the rooms. I guess that's just my style. But yeah, I think it what was built today looks pretty good. I'm really happy with this funnel system. Oh, this is, need to fill that in. Glad I noticed that, because I'm sure that would have went unnoticed forever if I did not. Yeah, I think that looks cool, and I think whenever you're up here, so you come down the main tunnel path right here, you see this big thing, and then you're basically presented with several different options. You can, it actually helps if you're someone who isn't necessarily 100% familiar with the movie, because then you can just fully explore. Whereas if you're someone like me who has seen the movie so many times that I could pretty much, like, I've memorized the entire thing, I know exactly, like, once you come down here, it's like, oh, go to the inventing room, and then the rest of it leads off of that. Whereas if you come in here with less knowledge of that, I guess, you can basically just explore everything. So, you know, you can choose to see one of these rooms. You can go off into this corridor, which I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's 7 rooms from here until the end of that path. And then obviously over here will lead down to 3 more rooms. So that's pretty respectable numbers. So that's, if you count just like from this sphere, that corridor back there, and then this corridor down here, I believe that would be 14 rooms in this area of the factory to explore. And then the rest of them are, you know, continuing on that way. And there are a few, I think there's like 5 in the earlier parts of the Chocolate River, and then that will eventually get expanded as well. My unofficial goal is to have 50 rooms at least before I let myself release the world download. And right now I think I'm at like 35, not counting the 3 that I have to build down here. So that will be like 38. And then I really just need about 10 to 15 more, and then I'll feel like I've hit my goal. I'm not sure if that will actually be when I call it done though. I might just keep on going, but I definitely want to hit 50 rooms before the map goes out. And I think that's a good goal to have, because if I just built the rooms you see in the movie, there would only be 4. So an additional 46 rooms I think is pretty cool. But anyway, that sidetracks me. What I wanted to talk about was this area right here. And I know it's really dark in here, so I'm going to light it up real quick. Alright, so when the boat comes down, like I was saying earlier, through here, and you're presented with where you want to go, the main path is either through that way, or it also connects up if you just go through the inventing room. Both of these paths take you to the same spot. So there's that. And in the movie, you actually do see a quick glimpse of these like alcoves, and it's implied that there's other pipes of the Chocolate River that are kind of coming off from a distance, like coming up and then flowing down, very similar to that. But there are like several of them, like one on each side of the walls here that you see coming down. So originally I just had these blank rooms like this, and recently I changed the walls to black concrete instead of dark blue, just to make it look like it's bigger. But I want to have those pathways that come down and drop in represented. So obviously, because like we were talking about earlier, the water would be flowing down, so you have no way of actually going up that path. But I still want it to be there just for an aesthetic look. So obviously there will be no rooms up there. But unfortunately for this alcove, the one directly across from the main pathway, it is completely surrounded by the inventing room, the Rocky Road room, and then the main corridor on the other side of the inventing room. So I have no way, unfortunately, of adding those features into this room right here. So this is forced to stay just blank. There's nothing in there. But these two, I do have the room. On this side, I don't. This is the other side of the Rocky Road room. It's kind of like a weird shape room, but it basically is a box with a curve on one side. So I cannot put anything through here. So you can see there's stone wall, which is what that room is made up of. But this room right here, I do have a lot of space. It's just a blank wall, basically. So I think what I want to do is add in like a circle opening, but above the height of the water right here. So I want it to kind of look like a little bit of a waterfall, only a few blocks high. But because we don't get a really good look of it in the movie, I'm allowing myself to do that with a little bit of creative liberty. There's actually a concept art image of this very thing I'm describing, where similar to that over there, where it's made up of spheres. It's a pathway made up of like interlocking spheres in a zigzag pattern that the chocolate like flows down through like this, and then it empties out into this like room right here. So that's what I want to make. It's not in the movie, but it's in the concept art, so that's why I think I want to do that. And it'll also help because with this room over here, because there's nothing in it, I don't care that it's just a box. But over here, because this is the main area that I intend people to travel, I don't like how it looks so boring. So adding that in on this wall will add a lot of interest, I think. This wall will just have to stay how it is, though. If I really wanted to, perhaps I could add in a second entrance to the Rocky Road room, although that would be sort of pointless and wouldn't really make a lot of sense, but we'll see. So yeah, that's the upcoming plan for that. That's probably going to be the next thing I build, because that will only take a very short amount of time, and maybe that's what I'll do on the next time I live stream, is build that section. And then probably after that is when I'll start working on the rooms down there. But I think this is a really cool look. Because it's not super long, it's kind of shallow. It looks, it's really neat how you can see like the whole way down. Because there's really nowhere else on my chocolate river that you see that. Because the drops are always so steep that you can't see in front of you. But yeah, so it's the chocolate river, just doing a lot of work on that. I think, I'm trying to remember, there was something much earlier in the tour that I wanted to update, I think. I update the rooms pretty frequently. If I find something that I like better. So here's a chocolate room. Oh, right. I started, but obviously I'm not finished. Replacing the carpet lights with just light blocks, the light block commands. So I've been just replacing them, and I think that makes it look a lot cleaner, because the carpets look a little, you know, it makes the build look aged, like it's from like 2012, you know. The ones that are colored are actually supposed to be here because they're present in the movie, but the green ones are not. So I need to finish doing that. That's probably something else I could do on a live stream, perhaps. And then there are a few other rooms in the factory that need to have that done as well. I don't think any of these ones do need it. Yeah, the entrance corridor. I call this room the entrance corridor. I don't know if it has an official name, but this one is fine because I do have the lighting underneath the carpet, but just like the movie, there is an actual red carpet here, so that's why it's okay to stay like that. And when I was, so the way, like I mentioned it in my Planet Minecraft post, someone that I met through my videos, he is a fellow Wonka factory builder. His name is Razorholic. He has a YouTube channel where he has his builds on there. I was talking about my TV room where I was unhappy with how dim it was, because that's like the one area in the entire factory that's supposed to be incredibly bright with no shadows at all. And it's really hard to accomplish that naturally in Minecraft with the lighting blocks, like the sea lanterns or frog lights. It's just almost impossible. So he told me about the command light blocks, which is something that I have actually never heard of before. And you know, I did some research on them, and they're very useful. And they're, I guess, you know, their point was to be used for adventure map makers, which is essentially what I am classifying this map as, because eventually I want to add the entire town outside, and I'm thinking about adding in potentially some adventure map mechanics, maybe, if I get to it, if I feel like it. So since it is an adventure map, I feel like it's not really cheaty if I'm using these blocks. I mean, I'm using other mods, so it's not really like I'm trying for this to be 100% vanilla map anyway. But yeah, he told me about that, and then I redid my TV room with that lighting, so I'm gonna go over there. Let's see, TV room. So I was able to redo this room, and it's like incredibly bright. It looks so much better than how it used to when I just had exposed frog lights on the ceiling and on the ground covered by carpets. There's basically, the only shadows you see are just, it's how the Minecraft game engine is. There's no way to get rid of them. So this is as bright as I can physically make an enclosed room. So I think it looks really good. It looks, you know, as for my money, exactly like the factory in the movie. As close as I can get it in Minecraft. And then if I pull this up, basically almost every single block is has a light block on it. So that's why this this feature was a huge help. And it's why I'm slowly implementing this into other rooms of the factory. But the only thing is, he told me when I was talking to him, and then I did some research as well, that sometimes these lighting blocks can break if you're using certain shaders or texture packs. So that will limit, I suppose, some people potentially who want to download this map and play it for themselves. I'm just going to have to put out a disclaimer, I guess, that everyone turns off shaders and does not use any texture packs. But I think that is a worthy trade-off. Especially because since I was building this map with the intent, like, I don't play with shaders or texture packs. So I was making the aesthetic based off of how it looks in a vanilla atmosphere. So I think the factory looks good enough without the use of shaders. I tried really hard to make it look moody and gloomy and ominous with just vanilla aesthetics. So I don't think they're even needed to play this map. Alright, let's see. Go to the chocolate room. But yeah, I don't really think I have anything else that I plan to do in this today. Yeah, so for those of you who watched, were watching live, it's pretty cool. I appreciate you being here. And then if you're watching this after the fact, after it's been published, once again, I appreciate you watching. No idea whenever I will stream again or make another video, just kind of whenever I have the time, whenever I feel like it. It could be tomorrow, it could be like 3 weeks from now. So yeah, nothing really super definitive there, but yeah. Let's see here. I think that'll pretty much do it for today. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you the next time that I post some content.